Hey everyone, Anthony here. So in these next clips, I'm just going to explain what I'm doing because I don't feel like talking while I'm out there. It's going to distract me a bit, and I just want to focus on what I'm doing. But I'm going to start attempting to get the water levels right in this pool. I don't know if I showed this on video yet, but I have this K2006 test kit, which has all these, like, we'll open it later, has all these crazy chemicals to test your levels in your pool. And then I have this to test the salt level in the pool. But we'll get onto that in a little bit. I'll show you guys what else I have too. I don't know if I have everything. I just did a little bit of research. And basically what we're going to be doing is each thing in this test kit test for a different level of whatever. So like if it'll test, like, we'll talk about that later. There might be stuff that I don't have yet to correct problems, but what I do have, I have this muriatic acid, which is supposed to lower the base level, I think. Then I have pool shock, which is supposed to, I guess, just get the chlorine level right up. Then we have these pH down, and I have pH up to raise and lower the pH. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but basically the plan is to put the muriatic acid in the pool to get the alkalinity right. And then when you put the muriatic acid in the pool, it messes with the pH as well. So then you put pH chemicals in it to adjust the pH after you adjust the alkalinity. I guess that's my understanding of it. And then the chlorine is like a totally other thing. On top of that, I need a sippy of my water. So the chlorine is another thing on top of all that. And then there's also some stabilizer thing and maybe an algae prevention thing. I don't know. There's like other chemical things to put in your pool. Basically, what we're doing right now in this next clip, my pool is a saltwater pool. So basically you put salt in the pool. So it's just like rock salt, or I don't know what this salt looks like yet. I have some that was left here with the house, but basically you just put salt in your pool and then it goes through this thing called a chlorinator, a saltwater chlorinator, maybe it's called. It's a chlorinator nonetheless. And the salt water from your pool flows through this chlorinator, and this chlorinator converts the salt water into chlorine. I have absolutely no idea how it knows when to stop producing chlorine. The whole system that I have, it'll tell you how much salt is in the water, how many parts per million of salt is in your water. It'll read that, but nothing on this pool automation system that tells you how much chlorine is in your pool. So I think as long as the pump is running, it'll just keep making chlorine. So I don't understand how, like, my pump only runs from midnight to 6 a.m. right now, which is on the low end side. Usually, especially when it's raining out so much now, you should be running it more. So it'll only make chlorine for 6 hours a day or a night right now. So yeah, I'm just saying I really have no idea how this pool stops making chlorine. I'll have to ask my pool guy that. About the pool guy, so I went down to the place. I don't know if I mentioned this in a video yet or not, but I went down to the pool guy, talked to him, and he said that he would come down here last Monday. He said he would come down here to clean the pool and teach me how to clean it and use everything and whatnot. And he didn't show up. So I'm not going to be cleaning the pool right now, like vacuuming it and scrubbing it and all that. We're just going to be doing the chemical level stuff now. I can't do everything all at once because I get way too overwhelmed. So, and really some of this stuff, like putting muriatic acid in my pool, it has to cycle through the pool filter and everything to mix in with all the water. So that's going to take like a while to cycle through. So it's not just like a day. It's not something, I can't get these water levels right in a day. This chlorinator though, on my pool system, it says there's 0 ppm of salt in the pool. So there's no salt in it, which means there's no chlorine being generated. So always when you play with systems and try to figure out systems, you have to have everything up to par and working right to be able to diagnose and get good readings on everything. So the two things with my pool is the pool filter and the chlorinator. So the pool filter needs to be cleaned. It can't be all clogged up or whatever. If it is, then that'll give you like messed up readings somewhere or something. I'm not sure if a dirty pool filter will mess with your chemical levels readings, give you inaccurate chemical level readings. So my pool is a DE filter, and there's also sand filters and cartridge filters, like you would see like an air filter on your car or something like that. So mine's a DE filter, which I think is a combination between a cartridge filter and a DE filter, which you can think of as like a sand filter or something, because the water filters through a powder, except this powder, instead of being sand, is DE, which I don't remember what DE stands for. So I'm not going to be cleaning the filter because that seems like a lot of work. And I read that as long as the pressure sensor on your filter reads below, or on the filter reads below 50 psi, then that means your filter doesn't need to be cleaned. Because basically, if the filter is dirty, it's going to be clogged up. So then the PSI is going to raise because it's going to take more pressure to flow through the system because the filter's clogged. So mine only reads 10 PSI, which means to me that, tells me that I don't need to clean the filter right now. So I'm going to forego that for a later date. But the chlorinator, I don't know if the chlorinator needs to be cleaned in order to give accurate salt readings, but the chlorinator needs to be cleaned in order to generate salt efficiently. So if I put salt in my pool and it's not generating enough chlorine because the chlorine filter is dirty, well, that means that I'm going to think like, oh, there's not enough chlorine in my pool, I need to add more salt. But that's not really the problem. The problem, because then the water is going to become way too salty, and the chlorinator, since it's dirty, is not going to be able to generate enough chlorine because it's dirty. So I'm going to end up with a very salty tasting pool. And when you put too much salt in the pool, there's no way to change it. There's no way to take out the salt other than draining your pool. So it's not like with the, like if your pH is up, you can put in stuff to lower your pH. If your pH is down, you can put in stuff to raise your pH. With salt, there's no taking salt out. So what we're going to be doing right now, long explanation video. I bought these, this is what I saw online for, and it's a Intellichlor, Pentair Intellichlor chlorinator. I saw that these channel locks, their channel lock 215 model, is supposed to be what I can use to, I guess it's made for oil filters for big trucks or something, but that should be what I can use to break the seal on the chlorinator. Let's just go out and do it. I guess let me explain what I'm doing a little bit more before we get to it. I'm going to be unhooking the chlorinator, and it's just like a tube type thing, putting this cap on the end of it, on one end of the chlorinator, sticking it in this bucket with the cap facing down, and then filling the chlorinator with muriatic acid. So I don't know, I saw like way different things online about how much muriatic acid to put in. Some people said just fill it up with muriatic acid. Other people say to dilute it with water. I don't know what percent muriatic acid they were using that they needed to dilute it, and I don't know what percent mine is. Also, wear gloves and protect your clothes that you care about, because I guess this stuff will damage your skin and your clothes and whatever. And also, when you fill up your chlorinator, fill it with water first, like 3/4 of the way, and then add muriatic acid until you start seeing it bubble and foam. And then just leave it sit there for 15 minutes, half an hour. Basically, when it stops bubbling and foaming is when, that's when it's clean, because there's no more chemical reaction taking place, reacting with the metal inside of there and cleaning it. All right, so I filled that up about halfway with water and then halfway with muriatic acid. The videos that I've seen, it hasn't foamed that much for other people. I don't know if that's because I put too much muriatic acid in it or if it's because my chlorinator was just that dirty. So it's 2:30 right now. We're gonna check back in 15 minutes and then in half an hour if it needs an additional 15 minutes. And then after that, you're supposed to hose it off and rinse it out. But I don't think that's really that big of a deal because really you're just, when you hook it back up, you're just introducing muriatic acid to the system, which my pool needs, like any residue that's left in there. My pool needs muriatic acid anyway because I did test the water and it's way too high. Oh, let's test the water while we're waiting for that. But my pool, I'll go out there. My water level is back up because it rained a lot. So I drained my pool accidentally, which I don't remember where I talked about that. But I drained my pool accidentally, had to add more water into it. And then now it's rained so much that it's overflowed again. Or like, it's like an inch away from the top. But so before I add any muriatic acid or any pool shock or chemicals or whatever to my actual pool, I'm gonna drain it because it has to be drained anyway. And if I drain it after I add the chemicals to it, it's just gonna end up washing away. Like I'm just gonna basically be throwing all those chemicals onto my lawn pretty much. Yeah, let's take a water sample inside and we'll do some chemical tests. So when you test pool water, when you take your water samples, you should take them from, I guess from what I heard, the furthest spot from the skimmer. So my skimmer is right there and the deepest part. So directly across from the skimmer, and you should take your water sample from 18 inches down because obviously the top is just going to be rainwater or whatever. So I just stuck my hand in about right there, 3/4 of an arm length in from right there to get a water sample, which is right here. So the other thing, I picked up this kit as well, the K1706 kit, because this kit tests the salt level in your pool. So it's good to take a separate salt level, even though my pool, the Pentair Easy Touch system, even though that reads the salt level in my pool, it's good to have a second test just to see, just in case that one's inaccurate or something's wrong or whatever. We have a standalone test as well. Let's do that one first because I did all these tests the other day, so I have a little bit of an understanding how to do them. This one I haven't done yet. So let's do the salt level first. My Pentair system says 0 salt in the pool, 0 ppm. So let's see what this test says. Rinse and fill 25 milliliter sample tube to 10 millimeter mark with water to be tested. Add 1 drop of 0630. Swirl to mix. Sample will turn yellow. Then add 0718. Drop-wise swirling and counting after each drop until color changes from yellow to a milky salmon color. Milky salmon brick red. A white precipitate will form as 0718 is added to the sample. Do not add enough 0817 to give brown color. First change from yellow to milky salmon. Milky salmon is the endpoint. Multiply drops of 0718 by 200. Record as parts per million salt in the pool. To calculate required dosage, see treatment table on reverse. So basically what you're doing is putting 10 milliliters of water into this tube, which is right up to here, and then putting 1 drop of the thing in and then 1 drop of the next chemical. Let's just do it. All right, 10 milliliters of